All right, here we are again. Good morning, FinTexters. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's Monday. Obviously, it's the first day of the week. It is tax day. Try not to be too traumatized. A lot of people are doing their last minute things, trying to get their taxes in today. I don't know why it's always like that. I guess things that we don't enjoy doing, things that are imposed upon us, we tend to wait until the last minute. We're all procrastinators. Um, so let's make sure that we handle that. And I'm wondering how many of you are travelers. I know a lot of my clients travel, and this has come up for me because just last week I made a reservation to go somewhere. Now, it's interesting. If we rewind back to 2020, December of 2020, I booked a flight. I went to Florida. And the flight cost me $56. Now, here's the funny part. That's round trip, by the way. Round trip to Tampa. The funny part about it is that I splurged because I could have gotten one for $45. I wanted the better time. I wanted a better flight for me. So during the pandemic, they were begging us to fly. I mean, the plane wasn't full. You would expect a full plane. And I haven't traveled much since because I don't know, maybe I was traumatized. It was not a pleasant experience. I wore a mask the whole time. I did not take the mask off. I assume I ate something during the day, but from the time I got to the airport to the time I landed I did not take the mask off for the most part. It was just miserable. And the funny thing is that, of course, I got sick. So I was on my vacation and I got to spend more time there, an extended vacation. And if any one of you are watching me and you had that lovely experience where you go someplace but you get sick during the time of COVID, and you get to extend your vacation, it is not actually as pleasant as it sounds because it was very much about isolation. So those were the times we were living in. But I made my ticket last week and it's so expensive. I think that the airline companies are trying to make up for their lost revenue, but if I want to check a bag, it's going to cost me more than my round trip flight cost me years ago. So it's just crazy. A lot of you know this. A lot of you who travel more know this. But it's just really funny. And I was thinking about vacations and about how to help my clients when they go on vacation. And I started thinking back to years ago when I went away to Barcelona. I mean, those of us who have been blessed enough to travel and have gone places, it's amazing. There's nothing like traveling for those who love it. Not everybody does. Some people are homebodies, but I went to Barcelona and I went for a week. And before I went to Barcelona, some people were saying, "Oh, are you going to have absinthe?" Have you heard of absinthe? I really hadn't, but there was kind of like this mystery around it, right? I was like, "What is absinthe?" Oh, you drink it and it's like a hallucinogenic. This is what I was told. It's a hallucinogenic. And you can get it in Spain. You see, at the time, absinthe was not legal in the US and in many other countries in Europe. But Spain, you could get absinthe. I was like, what the hell is this thing? So I was in Spain. I was in Barcelona and at a bar. And what do you think I ordered? Absinthe. Now, the whole story of absinthe is fascinating anyway, right? It's this spirit that's green. And why did they make it illegal in so many places? Well, because again, supposedly there were hallucinogenic properties. It made people mad with delirium. It made women promiscuous. You would think there were people out in the streets going crazy, but That's not really the true story, like a lot of these things. Apparently the wine companies, did not like absinthe because it was an economic competitor, so that was one of the reasons. And the governments of Europe, especially France, it was very popular in France, they didn't like it because just too many people were getting drunk and alcoholics, and absinthe was cheaper than wine or beer. It has a very high alcohol content. I think it's anywhere from like 50 to 75% alcohol. So even though it doesn't cause delirium and it's not really a hallucinogenic, or it's not a hallucinogenic, it's just stated to be. I mean, if you drink enough, you could probably hallucinate, right? Of something with that high of an alcohol content. So the authorities didn't like it either. So between the lobbying from the winemakers and the authorities didn't like the fact that there were too many alcoholics, and here was a cheap source of alcohol with a very high proof, a very high alcoholic content. It was ultimately made illegal, and this whole like mythology grew up around it, of the things that happen. And they started calling it the green fairy. That's what they call absinthe. It has this, first of all, it looks like something that you would expect Homer Simpson to bring home from his job at the nuclear power plant. I mean, it's like this green glowing kind of thing. I think, Spock used to drink that on the Enterprise. It's this glowing green, crazy looking liquid. You don't find that color in nature, right? It looks like some kind of a toxic nuclear waste drink. I mean, it's kind of cool, actually. And it's very bitter, and so much so that you have to put like a sugar cube in it. That's how some people drink it. Wait, let me do some tech repairs here. I think I can make something better for us. Give me a second. Okay, this should be better. I'm being told that the connection is not so good. So it's very bitter. I think absinthe might actually mean bitter. You put the sugar in it, you have to kind of cut the flavor with cold water. I mean, but again, there's this mythology that this magic drink. So when I was in Spain, do you think I had it? Of course I had it. How could I not? I couldn't get it here. This was this taboo thing that I could get somewhere else. It's dangerous. You're taking a chance. You can go a little crazy. Of course I was going to have it. I was not going to miss out. And this is what a lot of us find when we're on vacation. When we go away, we don't want to miss out. This is how, let's bring this back to what, I do and what people are concerned about and why you're watching right now. How does this affect our weight and our health? When you go away, there are some phenomena that takes place. I have people who go to Europe all the time, right? What am I going to do? Am I going to tell them to not have wine and cheese and baguettes in France? No pasta in Italy? I mean, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, eat the pie. You're in Italy. Now, whether or not you want to go crazy is a different story. You see, every vacation has its own kind of thing, right? Its own purpose. We go to Vegas to go crazy, except for me. I'm going to Vegas because my mother lives there. I'm going to visit her for her 80th birthday, right? But we go to Vegas to go crazy. There are some other places like that in the world, the Balearic Islands, which happen to be off the coast of Barcelona. People go there to party. I guess maybe Dubai, people are going to party these days, even though it's in the Middle East. So there are some places we go for that. Then there are some places we go just to chill. It's the Caribbean, for example. We want to lay on a beach. Sometimes we want to learn and explore. Europe and Asia and the Middle East. I mean, there are some great places to do that, just to experience a different culture. But generally, we handle vacation like it's a license, like it's a license to fantasize, like it's a video game. I mean, we become different people. The rules are somehow different on vacation. We don't want to think about everything back home, right? So sometimes we go a little crazy. People tend to, depending on the type of vacation, because I do need to qualify this. There are people, myself included, if they're on a beautiful island or any place just gorgeous. I mean, there's so much nourishment just from the environment, just from the beauty. And you're so far away from stressors that there's less temptation to pig out and to go crazy. Why do you need all that stuff? So that is a situation in and of itself. If you're going someplace where you're exploring or hiking, yeah, I mean, you might not want to be hungover at 6 in the morning when you wake up. I've done that too. It's becoming a confessional. But very often when we go away, it's like it's a hall pass, right? Nothing counts. Calories don't count. Money doesn't count, right? We don't want to be told what to do. We don't want to, have our freedoms encroached upon. Vacation is freedom. We do feel free when we're going away. Some people become promiscuous when they're away. Different rules. You don't know anybody there. You could drink and go crazy and dance as if nobody's watching and do things you might not otherwise do. Now, am I going to get in the way of that as a health/weight loss coach? No. I mean, maybe. Sometimes nobody's asking, right? Nobody wants to be told what to do, how to behave. But there is this inherent conflict because we want to go away, we want to have our fun, but we don't want to pay the price for it. Of course. This is ultimately what everyone wants, that I can sort of give. I can sort of provide it, but not exactly, right? We haven't really figured out how to have our cake and eat it too, metaphorically or literally. That's the ultimate, isn't it? That is fundamentally what everyone wants. How can I do whatever the hell I want and not pay a price for it? And sadly, that's just not our universe. That's not the universe we're living in. That is a wonderful universe. Maybe that is what's beyond for us. There have been some depictions of heaven where they say that's one of the things. You can eat whatever you want and you don't gain a pound. It's a good movie by Mel Brooks, not Mel Brooks, Albert Brooks, some years ago. I think it was called Defending Your Life. And that was one of the things. When you were in heaven, you could just eat whatever you want. In the afterlife, you could do whatever you want and you don't gain a pound. Of course, I mean, we know that if you don't have a body, then you're probably not going to gain any weight. But they had bodies. So we had to suspend our disbelief and just go with it. But ultimately, that's what we want. I cannot provide that exactly. Now, here's what I do recommend to people. Right? If a person tells me, I'm going away, I'm worried. Very often I'll say, well, what is it that you want? What kind of vacation is it? I mean, I need to know the details. Now, if it's going to be one of those vacations where food is part of the whole reason for going in the first place, right? You're going to Belgium or France or someplace like that where the food is going to be rich. Now, mind you, a lot of people tell me also that it's less of a worry when they go to a place like that because the food is different there. It's more natural. They don't use all the poisons. And so I have a lot of evidence that some people can go and kind of do what they want and not gain weight. I've heard that story a lot. I mean, that would seem to be reason for us all to emigrate to Europe, wouldn't it be? Or at least change the laws here. Um, they won't use some of the poisons that we use on their food. But I digress a little bit. Again, what I'm trying to do is I want to know what kind of vacation it is and what a person wants from it. So you might be okay coming back having gained 3 or 4 pounds, but probably not having gained 8, right? So it really depends on how you want to play it. One of the things that I will do for people who want it is I will loan travel scales. There are travel scales that are this big. They do a pretty good job. And so you can kind of use that. Will people do a steak day on vacation? Yes. And for those of you who don't know what a steak day is, it's a way to get kind of things back in line pretty quickly. It's a modified fast where you pretty much just eating a steak and an apple all day. So that can be done, right? If a person sees things going too far out of hand and they're not okay with it, there are remedies that can be done immediately if the person is willing to do it, obviously. My best solution that I'm very proud of, pardon me, let me take a sip of the old cafe. Is something I created a few years ago called split rounds. People love split rounds. Why? Because it's an opportunity to lose weight before you go away and then lose weight when you come back. See, this is a really nice solution for people, and we're going to be coming out with it soon. We're going to be offering that again this year. It's a special, it's a promo that we do every year. Some other guys I know who are in this space have adopted similar things, but basically, generally, when we do our program, there is always a portion of it that's a detox. And that could be 20 days, that could be 40 days. So, what I recommend to some people, if they tell me that they're going away, everyone wants to lose weight before they go away. And nobody wants to have the consequences once they come back. So, we take that 40 days of detox and we split it up into two 20-day detoxes. Now, the opportunity to lose 10 to 15 pounds, for example, before you go on this vacation, which always comes in handy, regardless of the kind of vacation, whether you want to fit into, your clothes, look good in your clothes or in a bikini, fellas, um, or, you're going to do a lot of walking, a lot of exploring. I mean, you lose the weight, you lose the inflammation, and it makes that much better. And then, of course, regardless of how you play it while you're away, once you come back now, you have another 20 days, for example. I mean, we could play with those days. And that's another opportunity to lose weight. And it's wonderful. It's thrilling for people to be able to do it on both sides, right? To get those benefits both ways. Now, let's get back to absinthe for a moment. Because absinthe is obviously alcohol. It's a spirit, very strong one. Most people aren't drinking that when they're on vacation, but for those people who are going on vacation in part to drink alcohol, if that's part of the purpose or the experience, that's a tough one. I mean, it's not in the sense that we can still do the split round, etc., right? But alcohol does have the extra calories. Alcohol does impede our body's ability to burn fat. Alcohol is toxic to our system, especially the liver. I mean, alcohol is alcohol. It's going to do its alcohol thing, both the good part and the not so good part. So other than temperance, I don't have a solution for alcohol per se. It becomes a strategy of mitigating the damage. And these are the conversations that I have with people. So I had a little tongue in cheek. That in of itself is innuendo. My title was Absinthe makes the what did I say? Absinthe makes the arse grow rounder. It does. Alcohol just does, right? Especially past a certain age when, you might not metabolize it so well. So it does. Now, that doesn't mean that nothing can be done if that's how you play your vacation. Okay. So I guess the bottom line is if you're going on vacation, if you're planning vacation this summer, and most people, it seems, are, that's why the flights are so damn expensive. What do they call it? Like revenge travel or something like that. I mean, this is the second year of doing it. I feel like last year was the first fully free year, and people were going like they were let out of cages. I mean, we wanted to move around unfettered and take advantage of these things that we were impeded from doing, and we did. A lot of people did, right? So I think the important thing is for my client, for anyone, right? Decide what you want out of vacation, uh, and decide what you're willing to put up with, and have a way to remediate it, either when you're there or when you get back. Because I'm not going to get in the way of you and your pleasures on vacation. I will try to modify, I will try to give advice if it's sought out, which often it isn't, right? But I can only implore you to communicate with me about your vacation, about what could be done. Now, we had someone on a few weeks ago, Jennifer, is her name. She went away to Las Vegas and she lost a bunch of weight while she was there. I've seen that. I had a client years ago went to Hawaii. I mean, she lost so much weight when she was Hawaii, and people were like, "How?" And again, the Hawaiian vacation was not about the going crazy for her. I think, again, depending on where you're going, that's some vacations are good motivation. When you get outside yourself, when you change your perspective, when you see other people, when you see other people on the beach, for example, you tend to want it more. Like, there's a sense on the one hand of, well, it's too late. I really should have started this 6 months ago. But on the other hand, it's like you're there and it's like, some people seem to be enjoying themselves more, and they seem to be less inhibited and self-conscious. And there's that opportunity for you. So yes, people do go away and do our program or diet in some way and exercise. That can be done. So there are many different kinds of vacations. There are many ways to play it. I think the important thing is to have the plan, to communicate with me about what can be done about it, and to have a great time. I mentioned FOMO and YOLO. And for those of you who aren't aware of what those things mean, FOMO is fear of missing out. And YOLO is you only live once, right? And these expressions have become popular of late, and these are phenomenon that we all experience. Like I said, when I was in Spain, you're damn right I was going to have the absinthe. Just like I was going to have some other things. I was not going to go to, Egypt and not have whatever I had. I don't even recall what what I had there, hummus and baklava and stuff like that. And there is something to be said about that, right? When you're going for the purpose of experiencing something, experience it. but have that plan and have some support. Okay. I don't think there needs to be a fear of missing out. I think there needs to be more of a joy of experiencing. Although in practice, it can be hard to distinguish those two things. All right. So that's really all I have to say today. Have a great week. It looks like we might have a day where it doesn't rain. This has become a very uncommon occurrence of late in this area of the world, but it looks beautiful right now. I think it's going to be 77 degrees here. Enjoy yourselves. Have a fantastic week. Reach out if you need anything, and I will see you next week.